You know, what do you think is going to happen? Does he need to leave over this?
He's going to be fired, I believe. I think what's going to probably happen is he's going to finish this hearing, obviously, today. I think there's a House committee hearing later in the month. I think he'll do that. And I think, you know, what I heard just from inside the bank was his future, particularly whether he's going to be at the bank for the next 2 years where he's set to retire, was dependent on how well he did at this hearing.
And how would you classify how well he did?
A C-, and that's a gentleman's C-. I think it's a D. I mean, he did very poorly. I mean, he did not answer questions right. He came very unprepared. I mean, listen, yeah, if you give these guys rope, they're going to hang you. I remember when Jamie Dimon...
And this was not just rope. Right. I mean, this was like rope with red meat.
But you remember Jamie Dimon, when Jamie Dimon was speaking on a more esoteric topic about a trading loss, the London whale trading loss a couple of years ago. But again, these guys were trying to whip up the class warfare stuff against him. But Jamie was smart enough and he's prepared enough. Stumpf had no idea what he was walking into. So my guess is he's gone.
Elizabeth, let's back up for a minute and talk to our viewers about just exactly what happened here, because people are saying, wait a second, if I had an account at Wells Fargo, might I have been vulnerable to this? Fake accounts, 2 million of them were actually created.
That can affect your credit score, too. And in fact, we had a guest on Varney's show, and she said her daughter is hit with really bad credit scores now for 7 years, and she didn't even apply for a credit card account. Here's what the bottom line is for the bank. John Stumpf revealed in testimony that he knew about this, and this was going on in 2013. So this becomes a Sarbanes-Oxley issue. Did you disclose it in SEC filings? That's just one thing. The other thing, too, is that, you know, whether or not he will basically give back his own compensation, because under Dodd-Frank, they don't have to do clawbacks because is it materially affecting the earnings? It's $185 million and then another $5 million in penalties, then another $5 million going back to consumers. The way John Stumpf is arguing is that they don't have to do clawbacks because it's not material.
But you know, the earnings were affected, right?
Yeah,
I mean, artificially inflated.
The stock is getting affected. The stock is getting affected. So the question for him at the hearing was, should you just have given back your compensation? Because here's what Senator Warren pointed out. About 3 years worth of telling Wall Street, cross-selling is great for the stock. It's a reason to invest in the stock.
Here's what it all comes down to. Gary, I want to bring you into this because I think a lot of Americans sitting at home watching this thing, this is exactly, by the way, why Donald Trump is doing as well as he is and why we saw Bernie Sanders doing as well as he did. Because people feel as though the system is stacked against them and the little guy has no voice, while executives that do bad things, like the woman who's running this division, walk away with $100+ million, and the CEO still stands there and says, oh, you know, I have no opinion on this, no recommendation to even give the board. You know, isn't this effectively what is now wrong with the system, where these kinds of things go unchecked?
This is going to, right this second, is less about what they did, but how their reaction. Imagine, as you said, the person most responsible for overseeing all this walking away with $100 million and 5,300 people who don't get paid a lot get fired, and no senior management, no problems, just keep on keeping on. Bad optics, and they earned the right, this guy earned the right to be put in front of an Elizabeth Warren. This was chum for somebody like that. And this is going to affect the company for a very, very long time. He's out of a job. I don't know if it's today, tomorrow, or in 3 weeks, but that's got to happen, and change is going to be made. And remember, 2 words, Warren Buffett. I can guarantee you he's going to be in there in conference with the company because he owns a ton of stock, and he wants to get in front of it quickly.
You would think Warren Buffett, who opines on every single scam in the world, would be opining here. If you notice, he's very silent, so that's hypocritical on his point. I will make one other point. The root cause of this, guys, is Dodd-Frank, and that's something that none of these liberal lefty senators, including Elizabeth Warren.
And why do you say that, Charlie?
And it's simply this. When they created Dodd-Frank, they forced banks out of major money-making businesses, but by the way, had nothing to do with the financial crisis, proprietary trading, hedge funds. So what do? They went on the retail side of the bank, you know, the bank, the commercial bank, and they said, how do we get fees? How do we start developing? So they created incentives for employees to get fees.
You can't do it illegally.
Let me make the point. On top of that, you have major banks, huge banks, They can't be regulated internally. Nobody can manage a bank of that size. That's why Jamie Dimon had no idea about the
Well, that's what Senator Warren is saying. This is
I
too
got to
big
go
to
back because
manage.
we're short on time, but maybe this is why you need some kind of return to Glass-Steagall.
Break 'em up.
Separate the investment side from the retail
I think
side.
so.
Thank you, Liz, Charlie, Gary. Good to see you guys.